It was a beautiful day for a wedding. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, the garden was decorated with flowers. Everything was perfect. A young couple, Jack and Jill, were getting married. Jack looked handsome in his suit. Jill was a beautiful bride in her white dress. They were very much in love. Everyone was excited. They couldn't wait for the ceremony to begin. The wedding planner Nancy was busy making sure everything was in place. This was her biggest wedding yet. She wanted everything to be just right. Nancy was a bit nervous. She had planned many events before, but this one was different. The stakes were higher, and the guest list was unlike any she had ever seen. She had never planned a wedding with so many unusual guests before. The bride and groom had a special request that made this event truly unique. Jack and Jill loved animals. They were passionate about their pets and wanted them to be a part of their special day. They invited all their furry, feathered, and scaly friends to celebrate with them. From dogs and cats to birds and reptiles, the guest list was a zoo. Mrs. Petal, as Nancy, goats, chickens, a squirrel named Squeaky. The list went on and on. Nancy had to make sure every creature was accounted for. What could possibly go wrong? She wondered, trying to stay optimistic. But deep down, she knew the potential for chaos was high. Oh, how she wished she hadn't said that out loud. The thought of something going wrong made her even more anxious. The ceremony went off without a hitch. The animals behaved and everything seemed perfect. Jack and Jill said their I do's. Everyone cheered. It was a beautiful moment, and Nancy felt a wave of relief. It was time for the reception. Nancy knew this was where things could get tricky. Nancy took a deep breath. So far, so good. She hoped the rest of the day would go just as smoothly. Little did she know the animal antics were just about to begin. The reception was about to turn into an unforgettable adventure. The goats were the first to cause trouble. They dashed around the garden, their hooves clattering on the stone paths, causing quite the commotion. They loved the look of those delicious flower decorations. The vibrant colors and sweet scents were too tempting for them to resist. Before anyone could stop them, they munched their way through half the centerpieces. The guests watched in shock as the goats devoured the beautiful arrangements. Next, they discovered the buffet table. Chaos ensued. The goats knocked over dishes and trampled through the carefully prepared food. There were plates flying, food spilling, and goats bleating with delight. "Goat Gary, ba ba!" It was a scene of utter pandemonium. Meanwhile, Squeaky the squirrel discovered the wedding cake. He was drawn to it like a magnet, his tiny nose twitching with excitement. It was a towering masterpiece of white frosting and fresh fruit. Squeaky's eyes widened. He had never seen anything so magnificent. He had to have a taste. With a quick glance around to make sure no one was watching, he took a tiny nibble. He scurried up the side of the cake and dove headfirst into a pile of frosting. The sweet, creamy texture was irresistible. By the time he was done, the cake looked like a disaster zone. Frosting and fruit were scattered everywhere, and Squeaky was covered in sticky sweetness.
My cake!
Jill gasped when she saw the state of her wedding cake. The once pristine, multi-tiered masterpiece was now a chaotic mess of frosting and crumbs. But then, she saw Squeaky, covered in frosting and looking very pleased with himself. The little squirrel had clearly enjoyed his impromptu feast. She couldn't help but laugh. The absurdity of the situation was too much to handle, and her laughter was infectious. The wedding guests, drawn by the commotion, started laughing too. Their laughter echoed through the garden, turning what could have been a disaster into a moment of shared joy. Even Nancy, who was known for her stern demeanor, had to smile. The sight of the mischievous squirrel and the bride's reaction was simply too heartwarming. It was impossible to be upset for long with so much joyful chaos around. The air was filled with laughter, love, and the sweet scent of flowers.
It's the most memorable wedding ever. The kind of story we'll be telling for years to come. And you're the most beautiful bride, even without a perfect cake. Your smile outshines everything.
Jack put his arm around Jill. He kissed her nose, a tender gesture that spoke volumes about their love. As everyone danced the night away, even amidst the goat-trampled flowers and frosting-splattered tablecloths, one thing was clear. It was a wedding no one would ever forget. The imperfections made it perfect in its own unique way.